If you watched our last video, we looked at the first 10 of a list of 20 insert cards from 95, 96, 96, 97, and 97, 98 basketball that are cheap and inexpensive to put together a full set of, but that look really cool. If this video, we're continuing the same thing, looking at numbers 11 through 20. Let's get into it. Now, when I say we're looking at 11 through 20, there's no particular order here. I was just starting earlier years and moving up in time. Otherwise, this is just a mix of 20. So, if you haven't watched that last video, you can just go ahead and watch it after this one. There's no real need to watch it before you watch this one. But I would recommend watching that one. And we've also had two other videos recently that looked at 93, 94 and 94, 95. So check those out. And then a couple months ago, I had released a video that looked at more highly collectible and more expensive insert sets from the 1990s. So I'll link that one as well, because I think if you enjoy 90s inserts, we've got quite a few videos for you to check out. Number 11. 95, 96 Fleer Metal Slick Silver. Even though these two videos cover 3 years of time, we haven't even left the 95-96 year yet. I'd say this is a testament to my perspective that 95-96 was a great year for cool looking inserts. And some of the very coolest inserts of all from that year could be found in Fleer Metal packs. The first budget-oriented inserts from Metal that we'll look at are these super cool clear acetate cards of some of the top guards in the league at the time. Since they could be found in 1 out of every 7 packs, they weren't and still aren't overly expensive, even though in many ways Fleer Metal has kept up interest and relevance in the hobby more so than a lot of other brands from this time. As per usual with any set with MJ, this card is going to cost a lot more than anything else on the checklist. If you can find the MJ card somewhere in the $75 to $100 range, you're doing a pretty good job, but the other 9 cards in the set could be found for under $10 each easily, and most should actually be costing you something closer to $2. The Jordan one actually seems a little high to me in comparison to the other cards in this set, and in comparison to other relatively common inserts of the time, but I would suggest that this is just a testament to the fact that a lot of people really like the look of these cards, and that the Jordan card has maintained interest throughout the years as a result. It'd be hard for me to say with any certainty, but there is a chance that this may be my personal favorite insert set of all the ones I'm mentioning in this video. I think I may just be a sucker for clear acetate cards though. Maybe for the same reasons I used to collect see-through agate rocks as a kid as well. Number 12, 1995-96 Fleer Metal Molten Metal. The Molten Metal cards from 95-96 Fleer Metal look amazing. The design really is stunning, and they were also very rare, inserted at a rate of only 1 per 72 packs. These two things considered together would make it seem like these cards would be pretty expensive even nowadays, but actually it's pretty easy to find these cards for under $10 a piece. Maybe a slight bit more for Penny Hardaway and Grant Hill. Maybe. I think the reason for this might be that the checklist of names does not include any of the biggest of the big superstars of that era, besides perhaps Alonzo Mourning and Chris Webber. The name was made up of 10 young up-and-coming future stars, and though all 10 of them had great careers, most never really burst past a lower-level all-star kind of level in the league. Again, good players all around, but just not the names that catch a lot of love in the card hobby. Glenn Robinson, Jamal Mashburn, Tony Kukoc, Robert Horry, Eddie Jones, for example. Molten Metal also came out the following year, 96-97, but being that those were inserted at a rate of 1 per 180 packs and have become the more iconic look of the Molten Metal insert set, they are priced out of making a list like this one for this video. But if you're going for something pretty damn extraordinary and have a bit more cheddar to measure, that one might be worth considering. Number 13, 96-97 Skybox Z-Force Little Big Men. We are all the way up to number 13 on this list, and we're finally moving on from 95-96 and into 96-97. The Skybox Z-Force Little Big Men insert set was inserted at a rate of 1 per 36 packs and featured 10 of the shortest stars in the league at the time, which was one of the reasons I always really liked this set. My main PC guy, Nick Van Exel, was here, as well as Muggsy Bogues, Mookie Blaylock, Terrell Brandon, Kendi Anderson, Avery Johnson, Kevin Johnson, Stephon Marbury, Gary Payton, and of course the rookie card of Allen Iverson. I personally really like that checklist, a bunch of dudes that I tried to model my own style of play on when I was a youth, and that AI card is one of my favorites from his rookie season, though the Allen Iverson card can be a little pricey at maybe $30 to $50 since it's from his rookie season. The rest of the cards in this set can often be found for under $5 if you look hard, under $10 if you don't. Number 14, 96-97 SPX Hollowview Heroes. I really like the 96-97 SPX set, even just the base cards. I just think they look really cool. These Hollowview Hero cards were inserted at a rate of 1 per 26 packs, and the 10 names on the checklist were chosen as potential future Hall of Famers. As can be seen in retrospect, some of those players were sure wins for that honor, like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Shaq, while others were hyped up players at the time like Stackhouse, Grant Hill, and Penny Hardaway, and others were solid players who never really reached the superstar status, like Joe Smith, Antonio McDyess, and Damon Stoudemire. Kind of funny to have sure thing names like MJ and Magic in the mix with second and third year young potential players, which makes for a kind of an eclectic name list, but still some fun cards to collect nonetheless. Nowadays, though, the Jordan card tends to go for somewhere in the $50 range, though it can sometimes go for $30 and sometimes $100. The rest of the cards, even the Magic Johnson, can be found pretty easily under $10, some for as low as $1 or so. Number 15, the 96-97 Topps Hobby Masters. There's a couple of things I really like about these 96-97 Topps Hobby Masters inserts. Firstly, I mean, they just look cool, but that's always the first prerequisite for me when it comes to inserts. But the names on the checklist here are some of the very most nostalgic for me when I think about my early collecting days. I mean, you've got a bunch of the superstars, as you'd expect to have, but you also have a bunch of guys that were just really hot in the hobby at the time, like Jerry Stackhouse, Joe Smith, Vin Baker, and others. I like some of these sets that include players like that didn't go on to have superstar careers, though they did have solidly good careers, but they were thought of as some of the next big things at the time. I always like thinking about that when I'm thinking about more modern cards as well. Who are going to be the current guys who are hot in the hobby, like Jerry Stackhouse was, but whose cards won't really be worth that much on down the road. These Hobby Masters cards were inserted at a rate of 1 per 36 cards, so they were not super common, and the fact that the set is relatively large with a 20-name checklist means hunting down this full set can take a bit of time, but most of the cards should be pretty easily found for under $10. Even the most expensive of the bunch, the Shaq card, probably wouldn't cost much more than maybe $15. So it's kind of a fun hunt considering they aren't like the most easy cards to find, but when you do find them, they aren't really that expensive. That makes for a good set to chase for sure. Number 16, 96-97 Topps Season's Best. Now, at first, I wasn't going to include this set since there are just so many different looks within this one set, but then I decided to include it for that reason specifically, just because it's a unique option to consider when chasing down a set of inexpensive inserts from the 90s. This set is made up of 25 cards focusing on the league's statistical leaders in a number of different categories. The cards were inserted at a range of 1 per 6 packs, so they weren't that rare to find, but since the set is quite large, it was pretty rare to pull one of the bigger names. There were 2 separate Michael Jordan cards in this set, one for his points, one for his steals. Despite the relative commonness of these cards, the Jordan can still go for more than $75 each, which actually seems a little high to me in comparison to others. But besides those 2, the next most expensive card in the set, which is usually the Shaq card, goes for under $5. Most can actually be found for even like $1 or less. So despite the relative expensiveness of the 2 Jordan cards, the whole 25 card set is really quite cheap overall. Number 17, the 97-98 Collector's Choice Star Attractions. Moving on to the 97-98 season now, we start with one of the least expensive insert sets yet. You could always count on Collector's Choice for cheap stuff that was solidly decent. This set is so cheap nowadays because the cards in this 20 card set were inserted at a rate of 1 per pack. That means it was easier to really pull a top player from this insert set in any given pack of cards than it was to even pull a base card of that same player. As such, most of these cards can be found for under $1. Even the Tim Duncan rookie card from here can be found for under $5, and the Jordan one is easy to find for under $10. So this is an easy set to piece together without too much cost, and it looks cool. If you wanted to go a little higher class, there was also a gold parallel that was inserted at a rate of 1 per 20 packs that aren't also too expensive. Number 18, the 97-98 Bowman's Best Techniques. The Best Techniques inserts were inserted at a rate of 1 per 12 packs and featured 10 of the top players in the NBA at the time. And the checklist of names in this set is part of the reason this is such a nice one to consider, with every player being great. The Michael Jordan card is the most expensive in the mix, but it can be found pretty easily for under $20. Pretty inexpensive when you really think about it. I mean, 1 per 12 packs isn't super rare or anything, but it does make something like the Topps Season's Best Jordan cards feel out of whack too expensive in comparison. If you're less into the cheaper stuff and prefer the luxurious items instead, these cards also had a refractor and an atomic refractor parallel, but putting together a set of those would put it far, far outside of the range of cards we're looking at in this particular video. Number 19, 97-98 Fleer Ultra Jam City. All right, we got some Fleer Ultra again. We haven't looked at any of them since the 95-96 season, and a ton of the video on 93-94 and 94-95 inserts that was released previously. In that earlier video, we already did look at earlier iterations of the Jam City inserts, but I thought it was worth coming back to that insert series again with a look at what was going on in 97-98. Once again, the Jam City inserts look quite a bit different than ever before, but they've once again got their own unique style that stands out. I actually think it'd be pretty cool to put together a larger collection of all Fleer Ultra Jam City cards from all years. I like how different they are from year to year. The design in the 97-98 version of the card is quintessential 90s. A little comic booky, a little graffiti-ish, and just plain cool. The 18 players on the checklist here are a pretty eclectic mix of players, both with names you've come to expect from insert sets at the time, and with some unexpected names as well, like John Wallace, who had just had an underwhelming rookie season the year prior, so I'm not really sure why they'd include him in this checklist. Oh, but well, it's fun to get some cool looking cards of players who don't often have cool looking cards out there. These cards were inserted at a rate of 1 per 8 packs, so they were none too uncommon. The most expensive of the bunch would be the second year Kobe card in there, which can be found for often around $30. The rest of the cards could probably be found for under $10 a piece if you look around, a good number of them for just $2 or $3. So overall, it'd be a pretty cool looking and inexpensive full set to piece together. I think they would really look cool all up next to each other on a wall or something as well. And before we go on to the last insert set in this list, if you've made it this far in this video, please do give the video a like, give my channel a subscribe, and comment down below. Number 20. The 97-98 EX 2001 Stardate 2001. This super cool looking insert set was inserted at a rate of 1 per 12 packs and featured 15 of the best young up and coming players in the NBA at the time. Some of the names on the checklist turned out to be legit superstars like Kobe, Duncan, and Iverson, while others never approached anything even close to that, like O'Donnell Foyle, Matt Maloney, and Jacques Vaughn. But it's always interesting to see who the high potential young players were considered at the time. I always like the perspective that provides when thinking about modern players as well. Nowadays, the most expensive card in the mix is the Kobe, as is pretty much always the case if Michael Jordan isn't also in the set. The second year Kobe card here usually goes for about $75 or so, then the Tim Duncan rookie year card goes for around $25. And then the rest are a decent amount cheaper than neither of those. So though the Kobe can be pretty expensive, the rest of the set is not, making it a solid budget chase overall. What was your favorite from among the 20 insert sets in these two videos, or the 10 in this video? You have any other favorite low-end inserts? If you like this kind of video, I have a handful of other videos about 90s inserts, so make sure to check those out. Peace.